The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was enormous. It floated in the orbit of a blue giant star, a massive structure of glass, metal, and energy fields. Light from the star passed through its transparent walls, scattering in colors that danced across the polished floors. Dozens of alien delegations filled the chamber, each in their own unique uniforms, shapes, and forms. Some were tall and thin with 4 arms. Others small and round with glowing skin. Their voices echoed in a strange harmony, and their discussions were heated. Disputes over resources, borders, and technologies filled the air. At the center of this chaos stood the human ambassador, Ethan Cole. He was smaller than most alien representatives, dressed in the simple gray uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. Behind him, in a quiet line, were his aides. Laura King, the security chief, strong and alert, with sharp eyes that seemed to see everything. Ben Carter, the analyst, tall and quiet, always carrying a small data pad, and Megan Ward, the cultural liaison, who moved gracefully and carefully, understanding the gestures and customs of many alien species. They were few, but they held themselves with calm confidence. The council meeting was called to discuss human colonies. Some alien leaders complained that humans had grown too fast. They said humans were dangerous, unpredictable, and should be contained. The Velthar Dominion, one of the strongest factions in the galaxy, led the charge. Their leader, High Speaker Zarvek, was massive, with dark scales and glowing red eyes. He spoke with a voice that shook the chamber. Humans hide weapons and forbidden research under the guise of defense, Zarvek said. They destabilize neighboring systems. They cannot be trusted. We demand inspection and control over their colonies. Other species nodded in agreement. The chamber filled with murmurs. Some worried, some angry. Humans were being accused of things they had never done. But Ethan did not flinch. He knew what he had to say. He stepped forward, his hands folded, voice calm but firm. Representatives of the Galactic Council. Ethan began. Earth is aware of the Council's concerns. We understand your questions about our growth and our technology. But I must remind you of the truth. Humanity has chosen to hold back. We have advanced weapons, technologies, and strategies that we have not used. We have restricted our expansion, limited our research sharing, and avoided conflicts when possible. This has been our choice. A quiet murmur ran through the chamber. Many delegations tilted their heads, surprised. Ethan continued. Now, our restraint is deliberate. Humanity does not seek war, conquest, or control over others. We desire peace. But make no mistake, if Earth or its colonies are attacked, or if innocent civilians are harmed, humanity will respond with full force. This is not a threat. This is a statement of fact. Zarvek's eyes narrowed. He leaned forward, claws tapping on the arm of his chair. You speak as if you are equal to the great powers of the galaxy, he said. You are a young race, still growing. Your words are empty. We have the votes to impose monitoring, inspections, and control if needed. Your bluff will be called. The vote began. Holographic panels lit up in front of each delegation. Most species voted in favor of placing human colonies under galactic supervision. Ethan and his team watched silently. The result was clear. Humans were outnumbered. The council saw them as weak. Ethan's face showed no sign of panic. He simply nodded. After the vote, Ethan quietly activated a secure channel to Earth Command. On a large screen, the commander appeared, calm and composed. Ethan spoke in low tones. Earth has been given a warning, Ethan said. The council has ignored our message. The vote has passed. Colonies will be inspected. Forces may move against us. End quote. A short pause followed. Then Earth Command replied, We expected this day. Remain calm, Ethan. Continue diplomacy. But prepare. If they strike first, humanity will no longer hold back. Laura, standing beside Ethan, glanced at him. Do we keep holding back? She asked quietly, almost to herself. Ethan's eyes met hers. He spoke slowly, carefully. For now, yes. But if they harm our people, our restraint ends. The meeting ended, and the human delegation returned to their quarters. The council continued with other issues, speaking loudly, laughing at what they thought was human weakness. Ethan, Laura, Ben, and Megan walked down the long corridors. They did not speak much. They knew the real test was not words, but actions to come. On Earth, far away from the council chamber, colonies were busy with life. On New Horizon, a human colony, on the edge of the frontier, people went about their days. Children played in open streets with small drones. Families shopped for food, and engineers worked on power grids and communication towers. The world was calm, peaceful, and far removed from the politics of the council. Jack Rogers, an engineer, walked along the dusty streets carrying supplies. His younger sister, Lily, ran ahead, waving at friends. Life seemed simple, ordinary, yet unseen threads of danger were moving toward them. Back in the chamber, Ethan reviewed intelligence reports. Small flashes of concern appeared on his face. He knew that the council had a plan to challenge humans, and that some factions might not wait for further negotiations. Every move humans made had been watched. Every colony mapped. The galaxy believed Earth was weak. But Ethan also knew the truth. Humans had prepared for such moments. Carefully, quietly, for decades. Restraint had been their choice, not a weakness. It was a strategy. He looked at Laura. They think we are weak, he said softly. We have given them every reason to believe that. But the moment they attack, they will see what we have been holding back. Laura nodded. I hope they understand before it's too late. Ben tapped a datapad. Reports from New Horizon indicate increased surveillance. Sensors detect unusual fleet movements in nearby space. Nothing hostile yet, but it is enough to worry me. Don. Megan frowned. We warned them in the council. Now we wait, but waiting can be dangerous. They may not believe our words. Ethan folded his hands. We wait only until they act. We do not strike first. Restraint is still ours. But once our people are harmed, all of that changes. The council chamber, floating in orbit, seemed far away from the quiet conversations on Earth's ships. Yet in reality, every word, every vote, every plan in that chamber had consequences for every human colony. Ethan felt the weight of responsibility. One wrong move by the council, one act of aggression, could force humanity to drop its restraint. And the galaxy, which laughed at their warning today, would not be laughing tomorrow. The council's laughter was a sound that would echo in Ethan's memory. They mocked humans as a young race, inexperienced, and dangerous only because of potential, not action. But Ethan knew the truth. Humans were ready. Humans had always been ready. They had simply chosen patience. Patience had been their weapon. Now, the galaxy had crossed a line. The warning had been given. Ignored. Forgotten by most. But every human leader knew what that warning meant. And one day, the galaxy would understand. As Ethan prepared for the next council session, he reviewed the data from human colonies. New Horizon, Solara, and other frontier worlds were being monitored. Families, workers, children, all innocent. He wished none of this had to happen. Humanity did not seek war. They sought peace. But peace was fragile. And the galaxy, in its arrogance, was about to test that fragility. The sun of the blue giant star lit the chamber again, reflecting off the polished floors and off the many alien faces. Some smiled, some frowned. All assumed humans were limited, constrained, predictable. All assumed the Earth's restraint was weakness. Ethan did not correct them. He had no reason to. He only prepared. Prepared for the moment when words would fail. Prepared for the moment when the galaxy would finally see what humans could do. The council adjourned. Aliens filed out, their voices filling the corridors, discussing tactics, trade, and diplomacy. Ethan and his team lingered, silent for a moment. Then Ethan said, "We have warned them. They chose to ignore it. That choice will cost them." Laura placed her hand on his shoulder. "Let's just hope our people are safe until then." Ethan nodded. "They will be. For now." And as the chamber emptied, the human delegation walked back to their quarters, calm, prepared, and silent. The galaxy might not believe them now, but one day, they would understand. The day was coming when humans would no longer hold back. The warning had been given, ignored, and soon, the true story of human restraint, patience, and power would begin. The pale green sky stretched over dusty streets, and the twin suns were just rising over the horizon. Families walked to the market. Children chased small drones in the open squares, and farmers tended to their crops outside the colony domes. Jack Rogers carried a crate of tools toward the maintenance building. His sister, Lily, ran ahead, laughing with a group of friends. Life was simple, ordinary, and peaceful. Nobody imagined the danger that approached from beyond the stars. Far above the colony, in the emptiness of space, a fleet of Velthar warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They appeared silently at the edge of the human system. Massive ships with dark, sharp hulls that gleamed under the light of the suns. Their purpose was clear. Inspection, they called it. But Jack would soon learn that inspection meant something far more dangerous. The first signs were subtle. Orbital satellites, which had been quietly monitoring the system, suddenly went offline. Sensors that had worked for decades stopped sending signals. Ground communications flickered and died. The fleet had arrived, and humans on New Horizon had almost no warning. Jack paused in his work, frowning at the silent sensors. "Something's wrong," he muttered. He looked at the sky through the dome glass. The sunlight glinted off the distant shapes of ships that should not have been there. His heart sank. He did not know what to do, but he knew danger was near. In orbit above the colony, Laura King watched the situation from her patrol ship. She had been monitoring human colonies for threats, but nothing had prepared her for this. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls, sending alerts to command and trying to assess the strength of the enemy. "They're already here," she said quietly. Her eyes were fixed on the screens. "This isn't an inspection. This is an attack." Back on the surface, civilians had no idea what was happening. Life continued for a few more minutes, until the first attack. Energy beams streaked across the sky, targeting the colony's power stations. Buildings shook, alarms blared, and dust filled the streets. Jack dropped his crate and ran toward his sister, who was screaming as she saw a nearby building crumble. "Lily, come here," he shouted, grabbing her hand. They ran toward the shelter zones, but the streets were chaotic. Automated defense drones, normally used for construction and maintenance, were repurposed to protect civilians. They fired warning shots at the landing troops, slowing them for a few precious minutes. But the Velthar soldiers were fast, efficient, and armed with weapons humans had never faced. The first wave of troops landed near the spaceport. Their goal was not to negotiate. They were precise and ruthless. They moved through streets, rounding up people, scanning them, and taking those who resisted. Many civilians were terrified, hiding in homes and shops, Jack carried Lily over a fallen beam, ducking under gunfire as he tried to reach safety. Inside a partially destroyed building, a small group of human security officers fought back. They were brave, but outnumbered. Each officer knew the odds were against them. Laura, observing from orbit, could only watch as her team attempted to slow the attackers. Council regulations prevented her from fully engaging. She sent encrypted video feeds back to Earth, showing every detail of the invasion. "This is worse than we feared," Laura whispered into her communicator. She tried to keep calm, but the images of civilians being rounded up burned in her mind. "We need immediate instructions." Jack and Lily finally reached a small shelter. Other families were huddled together. Fear written on every face. Jack set Lily down, checking her for injuries. She had been scraped and bruised from falling debris, but otherwise unharmed. He breathed a sigh of relief, only to hear screams outside. A Velthar officer had spotted another group of civilians trying to escape and ordered a warning shot. The building shook again. "We can't stay here," Jack said. He looked at his sister, determination in his eyes. "We have to move. We have to find the real shelter. We have to find. Meanwhile, Laura's patrol ship attempted a small intervention. She sent drones to disable enemy landing craft, trying to buy time for the colony. The drones managed to destroy a few ships, but council codes prevented Laura from firing her weapons at the main fleet. She watched helplessly as the ground forces continued their assault. On the streets, panic spread. Families ran, carrying what they could. Jack helped an elderly couple out of the debris, while Lily held the hand of a younger child. Buildings burned. Power grids exploded, and the noise of combat filled the air. Jack realized the attack was not a mistake. It was deliberate. The Velthar wanted to terrorize the humans, to prove a point. Inside the colony hospital, chaos was worse. Doctors tried to help the injured, but the building had been targeted. Fires burned. Equipment was destroyed, and many patients were trapped. Lily screamed when she saw smoke and falling debris. Jack grabbed her and ran, searching for a safer place. Laura watched everything unfold on her screens. She contacted Ethan immediately. "Ethan, they are attacking New Horizon. Civilians are dying. My team can't stop them without breaking council rules. We need authorization to act," she said, voice tense. Ethan's face appeared on the screen, calm but firm. "Record everything. Send live feeds. Document every violation. This will be proof. Do not engage beyond observation unless civilians are at immediate risk. Restraint is still our policy." Okay. Well, save her." Laura clenched her fists. She wanted to act, to protect the colony with full force. But she followed orders. She redirected her ship to monitor escape routes and provide cover for civilian drones. On the ground, Jack and Lily moved through alleyways, trying to reach a secondary shelter. Explosions rocked the streets around them. A building collapsed nearby, burying several people. Jack felt helpless, but he kept moving. He knew the colony had emergency plans, but they were being overwhelmed. "Jack, we have to keep going," Lily said, her voice trembling. "We can't stop. We can't let them catch us." Jack nodded, pushing forward. They passed a group of security officers who were fighting valiantly, but were clearly outmatched. The officers gave Jack a nod of encouragement, silently telling him to survive, to protect his sister. Above, Laura's patrol ship continued to track the situation. She calculated the velocity and trajectory of incoming enemy reinforcements. She predicted where civilians were most at risk and sent automated rescue drones. Some reached their targets, helping families escape buildings that were about to collapse. Others were destroyed by enemy fire. Back in the main street of New Horizon, The Velthar officer in command surveyed the destruction. He spoke into his communicator. "We will continue the sweep. Suspected insurgents and humans with potential weapons will be removed. Civilian casualties are acceptable. We will not stop until the area is secure." Jack overheard a fragment of communication while moving through the rubble. He realized then that the attack was not just a simple inspection. It was a purge. They were testing humans, trying to force fear, submission, and chaos. He and Lily finally reached a small underground shelter. Inside, dozens of families huddled together. Smoke seeped through cracks in the walls. The air was hot and thick. Children cried, and adults whispered in fear. Jack did what he could to comfort them. He shared water, reassured the frightened, and tried to keep order. From orbit, Laura's eyes were fixed on the live feed. She watched as the officer ordered a group of civilians into open squares. She knew they would be vulnerable to the next wave of attack. She sent every warning she could, guiding humans through encrypted channels. Her heart ached for the people she could not directly save. "They're pushing too fast," she muttered. "This isn't just military. This is terror. They want to break us." Jack felt the same in the shelter. He held Lily's hand tightly. "We won't break," he said, quietly. He did not know if anyone could hear him beyond the walls, but he spoke the truth anyway. Humans would not break. Hours passed, and the attack continued. Buildings burned. Fires spread, and smoke filled the streets. Automated drones tried to protect civilians, but were overwhelmed. Jack moved among the people, keeping them calm, sharing food, water, and hope. Lily stayed close to him, watching the chaos, scared but trusting her brother. Finally, as night approached, the first wave of the Velthar troops paused. They regrouped in the streets, preparing for the next push. Laura contacted Ethan again. "They've slowed," she said, relief in her voice. "But the colony has taken heavy losses. Civilian casualties are high. We cannot intervene further without breaking council rules." Ethan's face remained calm. "Document everything," he said. "We will use this. We will show the galaxy what they have done. Restraint ends only when our people are harmed. This is the moment they crossed the line." Jack and Lily finally rested in the shelter. The sounds of distant explosions echoed in the night. Many people were injured, some missing, some dead. Jack looked at the frightened faces around him and realized the full cost of the attack. Yet, he also felt a quiet determination. Humans had been provoked. They had been attacked. And now, nothing could hold back the power of their response if Earth decided to act. Above, Laura watched, taking notes, guiding civilians, and preparing for the next possible move. She knew that this was the first time restraint would truly be tested. Humans had held back for decades. But now, after the attack on New Horizon, the rules had changed. The galaxy had ignored the warning. Soon, they would see what humanity had been hiding. Jack held Lily's hand, whispering, "We survived today, but tomorrow, it will be different. Tomorrow, they will understand." The first day of the attack ended, leaving smoke, rubble, and fear behind. New Horizon was scarred, but the people were alive. Humans had suffered, yes, but they had also endured. And from the ashes of that day, the first spark of humanity's true response began to form. The warning had been ignored. The strike had come. And now, Earth would decide how to answer. Far from New Horizon, in the quiet darkness of outer space, humanity's hidden fleets began to stir. For decades, these fleets had been kept secret, hidden in asteroid fields, hollowed moons, and deep orbital hangars. The galaxy believed Earth had limited technology and modest defenses. They thought humans were restrained, young, and easily contained. They were wrong. Admiral Nathan Hale stood on the bridge of one of the largest human warships, a vessel so massive that its true size was hidden from all galactic records. He was tall, with gray hair at his temples, but his eyes were sharp and focused. Around him, officers worked in calm efficiency, monitoring every hidden fleet across human space. Among them were Sophia Lane, a strategist with a keen mind for timing and tactics, and Derek Hall, a weapons officer who had spent years perfecting the fleet's secret systems. Nathan's voice was calm but firm as he addressed his officers. The Council attacked New Horizon. They crossed the line. For decades, we held back. For decades, we restrained our power. Now, restraint is over. To begin Phase 1. Disable their forces in our space, without unnecessary destruction. No. 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 Across human-controlled systems, silent alarms were triggered. Orbital fleets emerged from hiding, their hulls dark and sleek. Advanced ships, far beyond what the galaxy believed humans possessed, moved with precise coordination. Their weapons had never been used in open combat. Their defense systems were unmatched. Humanity had prepared for this moment, expecting a day when the galaxy might force them into conflict. That day had arrived. Laura King, in orbit above New Horizon, watched the fleets mobilize. She contacted Ethan immediately. Admiral Hale has begun the operation. The hidden fleets are activating. This is bigger than anyone imagined. Ethan nodded, observing the live feeds of the enemy fleet. Document everything. Let the galaxy see the consequences of their actions. Restraint has ended, but they will know we were patient first. Far from human space, the Velthar Dominion and other galactic species were unaware of the scale of humanity's hidden power. They had counted on numbers, on superior firepower, on their council-approved forces. They had assumed humans were weak and predictable. Now, those assumptions were about to be shattered. Nathan watched a simulation on his display. He traced the paths of enemy fleets and overlaid human strikes. The plan was precise. First, disable enemy ships without destroying crews. Second, neutralize their ability to attack human colonies. Third, if necessary, strike at the command centers that orchestrated the attack. Every move was calculated. Every action measured. Humans had waited, studied, and prepared for this exact moment. As the fleets moved into position, Sophia Lane gave orders. Deploy quantum disruption pulses along these vectors. Their communication systems and navigation will fail before we engage. Drones will board disabled ships to secure officers and gather intelligence. Derek Hall added, "We keep civilians alive. We disable, we capture, we demonstrate our control without unnecessary deaths. But if they resist further, their fleets will not survive." In orbit near a galactic outpost, human ships emerged from stealth. Enemy patrols were caught off guard. Weapons that had been dormant for decades now activated. Directed energy fields, adaptive shields, and precision drones moved with silent efficiency. Within moments, multiple enemy ships lost power. Their navigation systems failed. Their weapons froze in place, and crews stared in confusion as human boarding drones arrived. Back on New Horizon, Jack Rogers watched the skies. He had been helping survivors and rebuilding temporary shelters. Smoke still filled the air, but distant lights in space suggested a change. He saw shapes moving silently, ships unlike any he had seen before. Automated drones guided fleeing civilians safely into underground shelters. Jack felt a mix of fear and awe. Humans had suffered, but they were no longer helpless. Laura guided the first boarding teams. Small groups of human marines moved aboard, disabled Velthar cruisers. They secured command centers, restrained officers, and disabled weapons without killing. Laura's voice was calm as she reported to Nathan. First wave completed. Crews are alive. Weapons disabled. The fleet is stunned. On the main bridge of the Velthar Dominion flagship, Jarvek stared in disbelief. His hands trembled over the controls. "What is this?" he demanded. "How can humans move so fast? Our ships, they are frozen. Our weapons, useless." His officers tried to answer, but the communications were already disrupted. The human fleets had blocked signals, and drones had taken control of key systems. The Council had never imagined this level of coordination or technology. Their arrogance had blinded them. Ethan addressed the Galactic Council via secure channel. "Look at what you have done. You attacked New Horizon. You harmed our people. And now, you see what restraint means. Humanity has held back, and yet you believed us weak. The choice to provoke humans has consequences." Some council members paled. Others were angry, humiliated that humans had concealed such power. Zarvik banged his claws against the console. "They cheated. This is impossible. We were told humans were limited." Nathan ignored their protests. He focused on the operation. Fleets moved like a single organism. Disabled ships drifted silently in space. Officers restrained. Communications blocked. Human forces had not destroyed the enemy, but they had made a statement. Every officer, every soldier, every fleet commander knew they had underestimated humanity. In the control room, Sophia Lane analyzed the progress. Phase 1 is complete. Enemy ships are disabled. Phase 2 begins when we receive further instruction. Our goal is clear. Neutralize their ability to strike back while maintaining our restraint. On New Horizon, Jack felt hope rising among the survivors. The chaos of the attack was ending, and help had arrived. The sky above was filled with human ships, strange and massive, yet organized and protective. Civilians looked up, awe in their eyes. For the first time, they saw what humans could do when restraint ended. Laura's team worked tirelessly. They guided survivors, secured boarding zones, and documented enemy violations. She knew this evidence would be important for the galaxy to see. Humans had acted, but they had done so with control. They had chosen restraint until provoked. Ethan continued to broadcast messages to the Council. "Let this be a lesson. Humanity does not seek war, but we will respond to protect our people. Restraint is a choice. It is not weakness. The galaxy must understand that before it is too late." Zarvek, desperate, sent a message to allied species. "Humans are cheating. Their fleets are hidden. We must regroup. We must attack." But humans had anticipated this. Fleets positioned in multiple directions, ready for any attempt at regrouping. Adaptive shields and disruption fields rendered enemy coordination impossible. Human ships moved with precision and power, never wasting resources, never risking civilians. Jack and Lily walked through the damaged streets, observing survivors being led to safe shelters. Jack spoke quietly to his sister. "They thought we were weak. They thought we couldn't fight back. Now they know." Laura contacted Ethan one final time before the fleet withdrew from orbit. "The first demonstration is complete. They know we were holding back. The Council will have to reconsider any further actions." Ethan nodded. "Good. Document everything. Restraint is over for those who attack our people. But remember, we have not unleashed our full power. The galaxy must understand we were patient first. That is the lesson." Far away, in hidden command centers, humans continued to coordinate fleets, monitoring the galactic response. Their patience had lasted decades, but the attack on New Horizon had forced them to act. Their restraint was not weakness. It was a weapon, silent, hidden, and devastating if provoked. Jack looked at the stars, thinking of the fleets moving beyond sight. He realized humans were not helpless. They had suffered, yes, but they had endured. And now, the galaxy would see the cost of ignoring their warning. Nathan Hale surveyed the battlefield from orbit, satisfied with the results. Phase 1, complete. No unnecessary deaths, only controlled demonstration. Let them remember this, he said. His officers nodded, understanding the power they wielded, the restraint they had maintained, and the lesson they had delivered. Ethan watched the live feeds from New Horizon, seeing civilians safe and enemy ships disabled. He whispered, "The galaxy will understand soon. The warning has been shown. Now they must choose wisely." 2. Above New Horizon, Jack held Lily's hand, looking at the sky filled with human ships. Hope and fear mixed in the faces of survivors. They had seen the first demonstration of what humans could do. The patience of centuries had ended, but humanity's true power was only beginning to be revealed. As the fleets returned to hidden positions, humans began preparations for further action, if necessary. The galaxy had learned a lesson. Humans were not weak, and restraint had been their choice, not their limit. The stars would never see them the same way again. The first strike had ended. Lives had been saved, fleets disabled, and the lesson delivered. Humanity had shown the galaxy that restraint was a strategy, and when that restraint ended, the results were undeniable. Jack and Lily, safe in the shelter, looked at each other and nodded. The day was over, but humanity's story was only beginning. They had suffered, yes, but they had survived, and the galaxy would remember this day as the day humans revealed their hidden strength.